Ryan Trudeau here. I'm the VP and Executive Recruiter at PRA USA, and today I want to talk to you about all these help wanted signs we've been seeing. A year ago, back in June 2020, I don't think anyone had anticipated seeing what we're seeing today. I mean, at that point, people's lives had been upended, their jobs were, in flux, in limbo. Even if your job wasn't in limbo, you were working from home, doing it in a way you never had considered before. No one would have anticipated that 1 year later, instead of wondering whether the jobs would be there or not, we'd be in a situation where we don't have the people to fill the jobs. Companies are finding themselves having to offer more money sign-on bonuses from anything from engineers to, people working in the kitchen at McDonald's. Now, as we might all expect, there are a lot of pundits and media personalities, political people, interest groups, all talking about this or that being to blame. On one side you hear, it's because of the extended unemployment benefits. When those go away, this will be fine. You have other people saying, no, the problem is you're not paying enough. And if you just paid enough, you'd have the workers. And really, we could debate, which one of those is part of it. And those all play into the mix. But the problem is that there's a bigger issue underneath all of it that goes beyond what most people are talking about right now. And that has to do with a shift in demographics. Right now, the United States is going through a demographic shift that's not like one we've been through within our lifetimes, maybe never in history before. And there are three big factors playing into this. The first element in this whole thing is a record number of people, the older generation, or as we like to call them, baby boomers, retiring or pulling out of the job market. This has been happening steadily, of course, and people expected it for obvious reasons to keep happening. But 2020 accelerated that move towards retirement in a way no one expected. So what happened is a whole lot of people who probably were going to be working several more years have decided to retire, to pull out of the job market, and that's had a big effect. The second element is the lowest birth rate in United States history. So what does that mean? It means that all these people moving out of their fields, out of the workforce, there aren't enough people coming in. There already weren't enough people coming in, and that birth rate has been declining to the point where this has become a long-term problem. We have, in the next decade, just like we had a record population boom, hence the name baby boomer, we now have a record number of people leaving the workforce, and comparatively speaking, not enough people coming into it. The third element is a very low full-time participation rate for prime age workers. What that means is there's a lot of people who could be working full-time who have opted to work part-time or have opted to not work at all. Maybe they're staying home with kids, various reasons, but the worker participation rate is very low. And that was an unforeseen element, and probably that one, if you're talking about the extended unemployment benefits and everything like that, that probably has a factor in those as well. However, the people looking at the number, again, had been seeing that workforce participation rate already declining before COVID kicked in. So they don't expect, again, the end of those unemployment benefits to change that. And the reasons why, there's a whole spectrum of them we can talk about another time, but the bottom line is that low participation rate. Now, these aren't short-term issues that are going to fade away as we go further into 2021, 2022. These are systemic issues. They're long-term issues that we need to come up with new solutions for. I've heard the term sansdemic thrown around a little bit, which means like a massive shortage of people for society to even function. I don't know that it's that bad, but really, I don't know, because this, like I said, is a brand new problem we're facing. So now today, we're in a precarious place already. The National Federation of Independent Businesses did a survey recently and found that 42% of its members had positions they couldn't seem to fill, which was an all-time high for that survey. And if you see, like I said, where the problem's going to be getting worse, you can expect that 42% number to go up. And going into 2021, in other surveys, recruiting, getting people on board, is the number one concern of HR departments almost across the board. Now, this represents a huge power shift across the board. See, I recruit in engineering, and for a decade plus now, we've had this extreme shortage of engineers. You've seen me talk about the low supply of technical talent on other videos here, but this now is becoming an across-the-board situation where almost all job categories are having this issue. This represents a real paradigm shift, and at least in the short term, more power in the hands of the job seekers. And what are they looking for? Well, several things. They're looking for higher compensation, no brainer there, better benefits, again, flexible hours, remote work options, and stability. A company that doesn't have a record of stability or can't talk about stability, people are very concerned about that now, given the shifts that they've seen and the instability they've seen. Stability is a very big factor for job seekers. Now, companies that can offer these things and are very proactive about figuring out strategies so that they can offer these things are going to be in the best place because they're going to have the best pick of the best people. Now, this is, of course, is easier said than done. There are a lot of small businesses that are still in precarious footing. They don't have their legs back, so to speak. So for them, offering higher compensation, stuff like that, is particularly difficult. This is going to be a real challenge for them. And again, this is why we need new solutions. People have got to look outside of the worldviews they've held for a long time, a lot of their economic assumptions. And unfortunately, too many leaders right now are still having the same old arguments. Really, everybody's got to get outside of their comfort zone, look at things at new angles, because if we don't do that, we're not going to have a solution, and we're going to have headaches here, where if we can figure out an angle, we could turn this into maybe a positive. Not sure, we've done it before, we could do it again, but again, only if we're willing to break outside of our assumptions, political views, etc. But the main thing is we have to be nimble, we have to be flexible, we have to be creative. Because if we're just going to be bogged down in the stuff that we've been talking about so far, we're never going to be able to move forward, and that's going to be critical for everybody across the board in our economy. Thanks for listening today, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the PRA USA channel. We've got 30 plus years of experience in the recruiting field, especially in the tech market. So we're looking to put that experience to use for you, whether, it's job advice, career advice, in terms of recruiting advice for companies, even just our perspective like this one was about what's going on in the overall job market. This is your home to find out what's going on and what the potential solutions are.